Ladies and gentlemen, OCB Figure Pro, Amanda Corrigan.
Hey, how you guys doing? This is your boy KLA, Cloud the Wanderer. And yeah, I have a guest. Her name is Amanda Corrigan, and she's a OCB Figure Pro, and she's here to tell her story. How you been?
Doing pretty good. I really appreciate you having me on your channel here and for the interview and everything like that. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for accepting my invitation.
Of course.
Yeah, so where to start? Like how you got into bodybuilding?
So I've been lifting for since for like 7 years now.
Right.
And I've always really enjoyed it. Like I always really enjoyed trying to like push myself and make myself stronger. And just, seeing where and how my strength could, I guess, like where my strength could lead me. And it was just always something that always really helped me feel really like grounded, and was something that I really relied on for just like bettering myself and just for mental health and physical health and all of those things. So I've been going to and training at the same gym for about like 5 years now. And I've made a lot of friends in the process. I actually met my husband at the gym too. And one of those friends that I made, Bob, he was someone who always said like, hey, like you should try competing one day. Like, have you ever thought about it? And I was always like, nah, like, I was like, I really like this as a hobby. And, I didn't want to take it to a level where it would get like obsessive or anything like that, because that was always something that worried me about it, just because I've heard a lot of different stories. Like I've heard more of kind of like the negative sides about it. And, it just kind of always kept me away from it, I think. And, but he just kept bringing it up to me and bringing it up. And he was like, yeah, like there's, opposing class in the area. Like you should go check it out. And then finally I was just like, all right, whatever. Like I'll check it out and see what it's about. So I went to opposing class. It's hosted by Joe Franco and Team Franco, which I'm a part of. And Joe Franco is my coach. But I went there for the first time and I had no idea what to expect. But they, you kind of learn about like posing and like what to expect on show day. And so I got there, and initially I wanted to actually be a physique competitor. And, my coach was like, oh yeah, like, lining up like, okay, if you're doing bikini, go here. If you're doing figure, go here, wellness. And then like, if you're doing classic physique or men's physique. And so everyone got lined up and I was like, okay, like, I was like, when's he gonna say women's physique? And he's like, what are you here for? I was like, oh, women's physique. And he was like, just because it's not like a super common category, I think, around like the East Coast anyway. But
Yeah.
so I was like, all right, well, whatever. I just jumped in with figure. And yeah, so pretty much from that point on, I went up to him because I thought it was fun. Like I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, like, do you think that I could be ready in 3 months to compete? And he was like, he's like, I don't really know. Like, I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. So I don't want to tell you like one thing or the other. And so when I'm told like, I don't know, or if there's uncertainty, I'm like, nah, like I want to do it. Like I'm super competitive at heart. So yeah, long story short, I signed up with him then and yeah, did my first show in May. And yeah, I was fortunate to receive my pro card. So
You recently got it not too long ago with the
uh,
Yorton Cup.
well, I actually received it back in May of 2024. It
Oh,
was
okay.
a Jersey Natural show, and yeah, that was my first one. And yeah, I got first place, so I got my pro card for that show. And I told myself, I didn't know what to expect, obviously, with my first show, so I just was really excited to do it. And I was like, you know what? I just told myself if I do end up winning, if I do get my pro card, I do want to go for Yorton. So So yeah, so Yorton, the Yorton Cup was my first pro show. So that was in September 2024.
Okay. How did you do in the Yorton show?
So in my class, I was second place in my class, and so when you with the classes, if you get first or second place in your class, then you compete for the overall award. So I ended up I was in the top 8, and I ended up getting 8th place out of the top 8. So really, it was I was super super excited and happy, and yeah, I wasn't I mean, not that I wasn't expecting it, but I just, for my first pro show, I was really satisfied with my placement. So
Yeah. Yeah, I seen like the Yorton Cup not too long ago, what or stream on, I think when did that came on, like November, right, if I'm not mistaken?
the Yorton Cup was in September.
September, I seen it in September. Yeah, it was a good show, you know. I missed out on women's physique. I watched the figure and wellness and the bikini. You know, there's a lot of competitors with the bikinis.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that is always tends to be. I'm a judge as well, and that's definitely one of the things that I think the classes. That's always, one of the bigger ones, at least from the
yeah,
shows that I've seen. So
yeah. So the OCB is like the only one that you competed for naturals.
yes, yeah, the
Oh,
OCB is the only organization that I've competed in so far.
oh, okay, cool. Like, like in the future, you think you'll go to NPC?
So it's funny you asked that. I actually I did tell myself that, like, so I kind of have some goals set up for myself.
Yeah,
And one of those is, obviously I would love to place first in a pro show. And I told myself if I did end up getting first place in a pro show for the OCB, that I was like, you know what, maybe I'll try out NPC too. So that's one thing that I definitely have in mind, trying to compete in NPC. But I do want to see how I can place and just basically see how I do within the natural organization first.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, like one thing you said earlier, you said that you was kind of hesitant, like when your friend like offered you to compete. Like what was it about like bodybuilding that kind of gave you that distance?
I love food. No,
Oh, that,
I didn't understand. I was not educated or really
yeah,
knew anything about it other than just some negative experiences I've heard. So it was more just ignorance on my part. I didn't understand. So I just went off of, the opinions or from what I've seen, that has been negative, like just like people that, would end up maybe having some negative like health side effects or just maybe like getting into steroids and stuff. And I was never interested in that personally. I am
yeah,
all for people doing what makes them happy. And, as long as it's done in a healthy way and, it's monitored and whatever. But for me, it wasn't ever for me. And that was the other thing. I thought like, oh, in order to be successful in the industry, I thought that it was something that you would have to, use something like steroids or whatnot. And then I also thought like, oh, I wasn't sure like what the lifting was going to be like or like the dieting was going to be like, because it's kind of lifting that I did before I started bodybuilding. I would associate more with like powerlifting. I was always trying to go for like high numbers and just pushing my strength. So, it was mainly like, for the most part, it was just ignorance on my end of not understanding or knowing. And the way that I became more educated on bodybuilding and how it can actually be a really beneficial sport or like a lifestyle to, pursue. I started like, it just opened my mind to so many more possibilities. Like basically the way that I educated myself more about it was when I signed up with my coach. He also has a podcast. It's Team Franco podcast. And basically he does these short, like they're all different things. It's about like lifestyle, or it's about lifting, or it's about like contest prep, after contest prep, like off season. And listening to that really just helped open my mind and help me understand that bodybuilding isn't like, you know, it's not this like thing where people are like really like, I don't know, like not, I mean, not everybody I guess is like that, but it's like, it's not a kind of sport where people are like, you know, really like mean towards other people, or like
Yeah.
really like, I don't know. It's my experience with it is that it's been a really positive way to kind of meet other athletes and like other competitors that, you know, work their butts off, and like it's a place to be like celebrated on stage, like to celebrate your hard work that you put so much time and energy and effort into. And I think that there's just so many misconceptions like about just like the competitors in general, or like you have to do these extreme things to, you know, look a certain way. And it's not the case. I'm not saying it's easy. There's definitely times it can be challenging, but it's just not something that I thought, you know, like you'd have to do these extreme things, like, you know, like not drinking any water, or like, you know, like only eating like chicken every day kind of thing. So just being more educated about it and learning more about, you know, diet and just exercise in general, you know, that was something that was really beneficial as I started my first contest prep, and I've fallen in love with it ever since. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, bodybuilding, you know, like you said, it does have a stigma. And, you know, a lot of people, they may not understand it, you know, because there've been times, you know, I've heard, you know, from bodybuilders that they do use and stuff like that. But, you know, but I know that I understand that it's a small factor, and majority of the times it's them working out and, you know, maintaining their diet. And it's not very easy. You know, I wouldn't do no bodybuilding. You know, I think because the simple fact, because, you know, it's like the prep, like dropping carbs and all that stuff, and the mood swings, and, you know, I'm not, you know, the environment I'm in, it's like it's not I don't think that's gonna happen. You
well,
know.
I mean, I said the same exact thing, so you never know.
Yeah.
You really never know. It's
You know, I have been going to shows. I've been to the Big Apple, and I went to, not too long ago, I went to the Double Down in Atlantic City.
I was
Yeah.
actually judging that show too.
Yeah, get out of here. Yeah, I think you told me that. Yeah. It was a good show. I seen it. It was a little better than the one, the Big Apple in Brooklyn, because it had space. You know, it was in a hotel, and that was cool. And yeah. I did see IFBB Pro. Her name is Michelle Moon. She was there, and she told me she had a client, and yeah. Yeah, but they were like, I don't know if you noticed that there was this guy, he was on stage, and every time his name was mentioned, the crowd would go wild, like a yelling, like a loud yelling. I don't know if you heard it, or you was aware of that, but yeah, that was kind of, it was a funny moment. Yeah, I mean, they was like, with the men, they was going really crazy. And the women, they was like, they was good, you know, they did their best. Do you remember that part where there was this lady, she wore glasses, she was on stage, I think she was on the figure for the amateurs, and, you know, the announcer was telling people that she lost, I think, 155 pounds.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It just background here. Well, anyway, we got greetings from Still Valley. I don't know what that's about.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
that's Chris. He's one of my followers. We follow each other on Instagram. He's always
Okay.
super supportive and always really just sending a lot of positive vibes and really kind messages, supportive, messages. So appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Greetings
good.
from the 215.
Okay. Yes, I mean that like what is your what was your thoughts on like as a judge? Like how do you like critique people and like differentiate different physiques like especially something like bikini?
So each category has pretty much like a specific kind of look that is like each category kind of just has like a specific look that that the judges kind of look for. So like as an example, bikini is kind of associated with a more like toned kind of like athletic look. So not huge muscle wise, like bikini competitors don't have like, the same amount of muscle mass that say like a women's physique competitor has. So generally someone who's like just starting lifting or just starting bodybuilding, and it really depends on your natural structure too, and like your natural genetics and whatnot, which is another nice thing about having the different categories, because you can find a category that kind of matches with like your like natural kind of physique or your genetics. Then you have wellness, and wellness is very leg dominant. So we're looking for, well-developed glutes, hamstrings, quads, all that kind of stuff. But, upper body is still important too. But if you are somebody who has like, maybe it's a little more challenging to build like muscle in your upper body and you just are genetically, have more leg muscle, then that would be a good category to compete in. Then you have like figure, and they're known for like a really kind of tapered look. So having like really wide back, really narrow waist, and kind of like having that X frame. Then you have like, for the men's category or women's physique too is basically, or I should also say figure has more muscle and is like more like kind of like top to bottom, like even balanced kind of amount of muscle. But they have a little more muscle than like bikini and wellness. And then you have, and they're like a little bit more lean and have kind of like a harder look to them as well. And then you have like women's physique, which is the most amount of muscle. And then so they would be kind of like biggest muscle wise, and also really shredded. So then you have like for the men's divisions, you have like men's physique, which is again another one that's more like an athletic kind of toned look. Classic physique is a little more muscle mass, and they have are more also known for that like really wide V taper. And then you have like men's bodybuilding, which is the most amount of muscle and also the most lean. So each category kind of has something that the judges kind of look for specific to that category.
Yeah. Is it hard for you to judge, or you just consult with the other judges?
No, there's generally, I would say, depending on the show, there is a panel of anywhere between like 5 to 9 judges, just depending on the size of the show. And I'd say most of the shows that I've judged, there's been 7. And, naturally, it's even though there is a criteria to follow when you're judging, everyone is going to have a difference in opinion. It's very subjective. It's like any other thing else that you're judging. But, everyone kind of has their own little things, I guess you could say. So most of the time, I would say, like usually you'll see discrepancies like, oh, someone may have put someone in first place and then, they put somebody else in second. And then I may have that reversed. I may have said, oh, well, I thought the person in second, should have been first. So you'll have little things like that. And that's very common. But for the most part, I think the judging, most of us, I think kind of our choices pretty much align, but there might be a difference of a placement, like, mixing up someone for second or third or like first or second. But yeah.
Yeah. And how long you been competing? Like again, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I started my first contest prep in February of 2024, and I had my
Oh, okay.
debut show in May of 2024. So I did a 3 month prep, and it's something again that like just going into it, I
Yeah.
didn't know what to expect. I just kind of jumped in, and I was so excited about it, and so just motivated. But generally, I would say, for someone like me, like I was lifting already pretty heavy for like 5 years at that point.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of time in those 5 years to build up the muscle that I needed. And then really that 3 months was just, losing body fat to reveal all that muscle. And yeah, so a lot of people, I think they think like, oh, you did like, a 3 month contest prep. That's a little aggressive. And I do think it can be definitely if you only have 3 months to prep. I always say the more time you have, the better. And that's something that my coach always really is adamant about as well. The more time, the better, because, I think, again, like some people that, they compete, like they might go to a coach and they'll like take them just because, oh, this is a client. And, they'll ask, hey, like the same thing I asked, like, hey, am I going to be ready in 3 months? And that coach might not know something about that client, and they just might take them just for, like, oh, like, yeah, this is, a client I can get. This is obviously money that I'm going to be getting. And they might do things that are kind of extreme. And I think that time, like, those are the times that people can have those, like, negative kind of effects after competing, especially like if they do well or something, but then they realize like, oh, this isn't sustainable, doing that kind of thing for long periods of time. So, but yeah, so it's been a year in total, pretty much, that I've been.
Yeah, I was asking that because it was like you're a judge, like on what made you wanted to do a to want to be a judge. That's why.
I just love being around the community. I love just being involved with it any way that I can. Like,
Yeah.
even if I'm not judging, like, I just love being at the shows and helping out. I love seeing the competitors. I love seeing the camaraderie between competitors, because, again, I think that in society, like, especially with women, like, society kind of puts women against each other a lot. And I think that there's, even though, yes, bodybuilding is a competitive sport, but it's competitive because it's about you bringing your best package to the stage. It's not about being better than the person next to you. And I think that, at least from what I can say, whether they're on my team or not, the amount of people that I've interacted with and just have connected with have been so friendly and just like really supportive. And I think that's another thing too, that you think with bodybuilding, like people can be, and I'm sure people like are competitive and they are a little more like fierce with it. And there's nothing wrong with that too. But I really like being just around the community and just being involved with it, and just seeing even just the competitors on stage, seeing how happy they are, and it's just something that I really enjoy seeing and am proud to be a part of. So
Yeah, I mean, I do see some of that, like in the OCB, like especially like the support from the competitors, like like how the announcers want the audience to get involved. Yeah, yeah, I do see a little bit of that, because I'm just starting to go to these shows. I started going like since last year. Started with the New York Pro, then I went to the Big Apple, then I went to this current show that previous show I went to. Yeah, yeah. So
and what are
you
your thoughts?
huh?
What are your thoughts on being at the show? Like, what's something
No,
that you're like seeing when you're there?
I'm not gonna lie. I like recording the women on my phone.
There's a lot of really
Yeah.
talented and hardworking women.
I mean
And
the guys who did enjoy the guys, because the guys they there was this one guy, he was a dark skinned guy. He won the men's division Actually, he would smile and stuff, and I don't know you know who I'm talking about, but
At the Double Down?
yeah, yeah. He
Yeah, I
won
think,
he won the men's physique. The
yes,
men's
yeah,
yeah,
yes,
the men's physique, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. He was at a certain point he and stuff, you know, in front of the stage, and he the like because I was even hearing like some of the like some of the audience, they was like, you know, it's a sacrifice, and you know, because some people, they didn't really understand, you know, what the person on stage go through. So
yeah.
yeah.
No, definitely. And I agree with you. That's the other thing I wanted to say too, is just like the raw emotion that you see on stage. I mean, you can just tell like some people, they're on stage and they're happy and they're smiling and, and then you have people who are really feel a lot of intensity and all that emotion because from what I can imagine, you're sitting there and you go through this contest prep that, really pushes you and you really honestly find a lot out about yourself. And that's the other thing too with contest prep is that you're being challenged. So when you're being challenged, like how do you overcome certain things? Like how do you overcome when like, if you're like feeling really hungry or if you're feeling, really tired during your workouts and this and that. And that along with so many other factors, there's so many things that you probably just get flooded at once with so many just different emotions and to see that on stage, I personally I love seeing that. I think it's just raw beautiful emotion and definitely something that I think anyone in that person's shoes could relate to.
Yeah. So we got some guests. We got All Rage, George Page. How you all doing? And we got Nicole Strauss. Hey. And Chris, he says, so very proud and excited for all the community. And George says, is healthy competition is good for bodybuilding.
It is. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, one thing about bodybuilding, like it's not a very lucrative sport, you know,
Yeah.
like for you, like how were you able to kind of like pay for like your suit and you know do the makeup and stuff like that? Like how was that for you?
That's actually a great question. And it's something that definitely, especially for the women, it is a very expensive sport. And for me, like what I personally do is like every time that, with work and stuff, like when I get paid, like I just try to put a little bit of money aside and just like a side account just so that I can have that for funds to put towards obviously like the suit. Just being, a member of OCB and like you have to like renew that membership every year and signing up for the shows and then the makeup, it all adds up. So if I can have any or give any advice to anyone, like especially if you're thinking about competing, and especially if you're a woman, just take, like if you're working and you can do it, just try to put even like whatever $5-10 aside every week, depending on like how far out you are. But if it's like in a year, I would say just try and put some money away like every check. On like a little side account, and I think that can really help with the costs and everything too.
Yeah. Well, we gonna go to your page, and you have a nice physique too.
Thank
So
you.
I ain't gonna say too much, but but yeah, yeah. So were you nervous like the first time you was on stage?
It's really funny. Surprisingly, I wasn't. I mean, maybe I'm sure there was like a little part of me that was, but if anything, and it's shocking because I am someone that usually gets like I get more excited, I think, than nervous. But I guess in excitement, there's also that like nervous energy too, a little bit. But I really wasn't. I was just so excited. And I think it's because I never saw myself, like I've always been like pretty, like I was always muscular, but always a little bit like bigger too. So, you know, I never saw myself or never saw my muscle like so shredded like that. So I was just more excited and just like I said, being around the atmosphere, the other competitors that I was on stage with, they were all super nice and super supportive. And I was just honestly really happy to be there and just happy to be on stage and to be able to show all the hard work that I put into it, because I really put my heart and soul into it. So it just felt good to be able to get on stage and celebrate that with the other competitors.
Are you going to be competing this year, or are you taking time off?
So this year I am competing. I'm doing the Orton Cup again. So I'm really excited. I'm aiming for you know, just higher placement. So you know, currently so that show was last September. It's every September. But that's one of the biggest natural bodybuilding competitions you know, in the US. So it's one that is kind of like, I guess you could say, like the Olympics for natural bodybuilding, or that's what I heard. So yeah, I'm gonna go for that one again. You have to qualify for it, so that was like the other thing, because I was like, do I want to do a different pro show or do I want to do Yorton again? And since I qualified to do it for this year, I was like, you know what, let me just do it again this year.
When you say qualify, like you got to go to another show to compete and then do that show?
Yeah. So if you're in an amateur show and you win your pro card, then you qualify for the Yorton Cup. So any of the winners that you, for example, just saw at the Double Down in Atlantic City, any of those who won their pro card would qualify for Yorton for this year. And then if you know you're a pro, I believe it's the top 5. Like if you're in a pro show and you're in the top 5, or you're placed in the top 5, then you would qualify for it as well.
Okay. Like would you want to, like, how would you want to promote bodybuilding if you had the power to do so?
Well, that is one thing that I think down the line, something that I would like to look into is promoting a show after more experience with competing, of course, and just being involved in the industry. But I would say I would promote it in the sense that it's a part of a healthy lifestyle, and it's not one thing that you do once, or maybe, I mean, some people do it once and then they don't do it again and they have a great time with it, and that's fine. And I think for me personally, like I like it more as like a lifestyle. So not just, you know, going ham during contest prep, but also, you know, following through with that in the off season too, and spending the same amount of dedication and time building the muscle as it is to, you know, when it comes down to like, you know, cutting and everything. But I would promote it in a way that is a way to help you understand and like learn more about yourself, and is a way to push yourself and challenge yourself to just be the best version of yourself that you can be. And I always say, like, you know, even when I talk to other like people that I see at my gym, and like sometimes I'll say to them like, yo, like, have you ever thought about competing? Like, you definitely should. So like I'm always trying to like encourage other people to compete too, just because I know the impact that it's had, the positive impact that it's had on my life, and the way it's just repaired my relationship with training, with eating. Like I am so much more educated now. Like I think that like beforehand, there were things, you know, like I guess you hear stuff or like you see stuff like, you know, like, oh, you have to do all these like specific like trendy diets to like look a certain way, and all the times, like most of the time, they're not like sustainable or anything. But then when you realize like, oh, I don't have to like cut carbs to like, you know, have a decent physique with like, or I'm muscular, but also, you know, like, or oh, I don't have to like, I can eat fats, I can eat, you know, like it's one of those things where like it just, yeah, it really helped repair a lot of like my relationship with training and with food. And I think that it's something I wish I had pursued a long time ago, or I wish I was just more educated about years ago when I started lifting.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it'd be like that, you know.
Yeah, or like even, when I was training before, like I was doing like a lot of cardio, and then I was like doing a lot of lifting and like not taking rest days, and I was just more so doing more harm to my body, but I thought that that's what like I needed to do to see results. And when I did my contest prep, like I did half of what I used to do and
Yeah.
saw more results, and I was like eating more carbs and like eating, more fats than I was before. And I saw more results doing that than like the more extreme stuff that I was doing. So that was another thing too. Like, don't believe everything you see online, or don't believe everything like that you hear about, nutrition or lifting, stuff like that. You don't have to do extreme things to see results.
Yeah. Wait, no, this is dedication and consistency and the plan really manifesting. And then the total difference between natural bodybuilding versus enhanced bodybuilding. Yeah, do you pay attention to like the enhanced bodybuilding, like IFBB Pro?
I definitely like, there are competitors that I follow that are in IFBB or NPC, and like I said, I personally don't know like much about what their experience is like, just because I don't know, like I don't know anyone personally that like uses or anything, so I don't really have, I guess, not that I don't have an opinion on it, but I just don't, I'm not sure, because I'm not like involved with that, and I can really only speak on like the natural side of it, but there's also people who are natural that do compete in shows, like IFBB or like NPC shows. But I think a lot of the times, from what I've heard, is that once you do get to like the IFBB level, I guess it most people, if not, I guess a lot of if not all, like probably take something, just because size wise, even if you have great genetics, when you're competing at that level, I think most people do use.
Oh, like what, I'm gonna piggyback on the powerlifting. Like, what was like the heaviest you lift?
So my bench was 185. I did that. So it's funny, like before I started contest prep, that like benching has always been my favorite. That is my favorite lift through and through. Chest day is my favorite. Like I love it so much. I'm like, I think people mostly think when, you're talking to girls like, oh, like leg day is your favorite. I'm like, nah, I love chest day. So that was one that I just loved, just like seeing how strong I could be with benching. And so that I could 185 was my max for that, 300 for deadlift, and 275 for squat.
Yeah, that's impressive. Wow. Yeah, because I see you really like working out and stuff. Like, how long do you stay like in the gym?
So if you would have asked me this before I started my contest prep, I was there for maybe like, depending on the day, 2 to 3 hours. And maybe like a half hour or so of that was talking to. So not working out straight for that long, but I definitely, I love connecting with other people and at my gym too. So, and just like, learning more about other people. And anyway, but so usually like I would say something like that. And then now I would say average hour. Well, I go first thing in the morning, and I'm there for like an hour and 15 minutes. Weekends, I might be a little bit longer, because sometimes I'm lifting with some of my teammates, or sometimes like, I might go to like a different gym and try other stuff out there. And weekends, I'm not like rushing to go anywhere usually. So I can kind of take my time. Whereas through the weekdays, I'm always going right before work. So I kind of have to rush through it a little, not rush through it, but I have to be more conscious of not a lot of talking, just kind of locking in and getting the work done.
Oh, okay. Well, one thing I know about you, that you have like some role models. You have like China as your role model. You have another WE wrestler as your role model? Like,
Um,
yeah, you really into wrestling?
I love, yes, I love.
Oh,
So actually, Rhea Ripley. I love China too, but Rhea Ripley is my biggest role model through and through. I love her so much. I actually had the opportunity to meet her last year, and it was actually during my contest prep too. I went to WrestleMania on Saturday night, and then Sunday they had Worlds, which is basically kind of like a little convention. And they also have like wrestlers there that you can meet and stuff. So I got to meet her, and I got to see an interview with her. And she is just somebody who is so humble and just so down to earth. And I just really relate with her a lot. And she is someone who also, I think, in like with wrestling or just in general, I just think that I love the way that she is like unapologetically herself, and she doesn't care about, you know, what other people think about her, and she just loves to be strong. She loves to test her strength out. And yeah, like I just like seeing that and seeing another woman just embrace strength and embrace being muscular and like doing it so confidently. That was so inspiring to me to see. It was at a time where I wasn't like I'm like, obviously, and you know, physique athletes, I'm sure they'd agree with me, we're really hard on ourselves sometimes. And so seeing somebody that I was like, wow, like I can relate to this person, and wow, like this person is, you know, like I said, unapologetically like strong and confident. And that was something that, you know, when I first saw her, it just mesmerized me. So
yeah,
it's been my role model, love her to death. And just meeting her, you know, it just, and seeing like, because you know, sometimes when you meet people, like your role models, or your someone that you're really inspired by, or a celebrity, sometimes they're not who they present themselves as on
right.
TV or on social media. And I think that like when I met her, she just like was just so kind, so humble, so down to earth, like I said, and genuine. And you know, it's seeing that was like, wow, like how you show yourself on stage and like your personality that you show like in social media and stuff, it just matches. And so yeah, she's definitely my inspiration and my role model with pretty much everything that I do.
That's cool. You know, he says, I love China. I'm more of Jake the Girl and Jordan Grace fan. Yeah, yeah, I see the Jordan Grace chick. Yeah, she's wow, she's phenomenal. Like she's wow.
Yeah,
She, I see in the action. I didn't mean. I'm sorry to cut you off. I see in the action one time. She did this crazy stuff. Like, yo, she picked this girl up and like did like a cartwheel or something like that. I'm like, that was crazy. I'm like, wow.
yeah, and that's the thing too, is that like with wrestling, I think a lot of the times, like, I mean, I watched it like with my brother and sister, and I remember
Yeah,
being like 4 years old and watching it with them. Like my brother loved Stone Cold Steve Austin, my sister loved The Rock, and I was like, I love Kane. I was like 4 years old. I was like, oh, I thought Kane was like the coolest thing in the world, even though he's probably one of
yeah,
like the more scary looking wrestlers.
yeah,
But I remember like watching it with them, and you know, we'd always get super excited about it. And I probably stopped watching it maybe when I was like 10 or like 11. And then I just started rewatching it in 2021. And yeah, it's just funny because a lot of times I think people say, oh, wrestling's fake. And it's like,
yeah,
it might be fake, but the stunts that they're doing and like the choreography and like the, you know, the chemistry that they have in the ring, none of that is fake. You know, it's the stunts that they do. I mean, some of the stunts, that is why I watch it too, is because of the
yeah,
athleticism. And that makes it just so much more fascinating to watch too, because it's like, yeah, they're not actually like, you know, like beating each other up, but they're the stunts that they're doing. You know, you have to have a lot of trust in the other person that you're doing the stunt with. You have to have
right.
trust that they're going to fall right, that they're going to catch you. So, you know, I think that in terms of the athleticism of it, that's another thing that, you know, really draws me to it.
Yeah. Did you ever thought about being a wrestler at one point?
Yeah, it's, and you know, it's actually really funny that you asked that, because I like the more I watched it, the more I was like, oh man, like I wish I would have, got more involved with this.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like a quick side note. So I'm actually a teacher too, but one of my students, she's on the wrestling team for the school that I teach at, and there's I think 3 or 4 girls on the team. It's mostly guys, but she's someone who like just started a year ago, and she's had a lot of success with it. Has made it to like regionals, and just like for just starting it, is like she's had a lot of success. She's really liked it. And I went to go watch one of the matches that she was in, and like it was a regional one, so there were a lot of like high school girls like having different matches and stuff. And just watching them, and I'm like, wow, like I just wish this sport was more popular or like a little more like talked about, especially with females, because I would have loved to have got involved with that. So it's it's never too late, but at the same point, with what I'm doing now, and
that'd be a lot for you, right?
Yeah, it's like it's tough because as much as I would love to do it, I just there's a lot of risk involved with it too, with injuries. So that's the one thing I try my best to avoid.
Yeah. What kind of teacher are you?
I teach art.
Oh yeah, get out of here. Yeah, what kind of art?
I teach drawing. I teach graphics and design, illustration and animation, painting.
Yeah.
And like an advanced drawing class. Yeah.
You went to school? I'm asking a stupid question. I don't know.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because some people they self-taught. I these days they be like, because I talk to people that they self-taught in animation. Like I think what was like last week I was talking to a guy, and he self-taught himself animation, and he also did like a length film and stuff. But the sound wasn't really too great, but it needed some work with the sound, but I gotta give him credit, like him having that drive to do that, that's not easy to do.
Yeah, and just like wanting to like teach it to yourself too. I mean, that's especially when you don't have someone that can give you feedback or anything, but you're just trying to learn it yourself. I mean, that's really ambitious, and I give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, he even had his wife do like voicing the characters and stuff. Cool. It was cool. Yeah, I was talking to both of them last week. Yeah, I draw, and there was a time I was drawing and stuff, and do a little animation. Yeah, I took like a course, like 2 courses in animation actually. Like one was in stop motion and one was traditional. And it wasn't very easy neither.
No. And that's animating is even if you see like shorts, animated shorts that might be only about 5 minutes or so, the amount of hours that it takes to put that 5 minutes together, it's a lot of work, a lot of drawing, a lot of work. Even at the school that I went to, the students that were studying animation, I mean, they were in that studio for 24 hours pretty much sometimes, like all throughout the night. And so that's what they say, is that if if it's something that you really love, like animation, then you gotta, one, be really good at it, and also be really disciplined, just because how much time and how much work is put into it.
What made you wanted to be a teacher for art?
So I mean, I've always loved drawing. So along with like lifting and like bodybuilding, art, that's my other passion. So it's something that, was always kind of like an escape for me when I was younger, and like just all throughout school. I was a kid that was always, drawing all over like my homework when I was handing it in, or like just in class, always just drawing. Anytime I got home, drawing. That's all I would do. So, I when I went to college, initially I wanted to be like an art therapist, but then I kind of switched over. I started teaching at a painting studio when I graduated from college, and I realized I was like, oh, maybe teaching is like a little bit more comes a little more natural to me. So then I just when I started working at a private school, kind of got a feel for what that was like. And then I got my teaching certification. And then, yeah, I'm actually working at the school that I went to, and I'm working with the teachers that taught me. So kind of a full circle moment.
That's pretty good. Like what you have your students doing, like just basically just drawing and
Yeah,
animation, or
depending on the class, like a lot of, I mean, most of the courses I teach are like intro. So,
oh,
you know, if
okay,
it's something like drawing, learning how to draw from life and just learning how to look at things and
yeah,
how to break things down into more simplistic kind of shapes and then get more detailed. And so that's, you know, that's like more with like the drawing classes. And then graphics and design is about, you know, strong compositions and learning what makes a good composition,
yeah,
working, you know, more digitally. And painting is also like an intro course too. So just learning like pretty much all the fundamentals and all the basics, elements and
yeah.
principles of art and design. That's pretty much covered in like all the classes that I teach.
Yeah, I took a graphic design in this school that I attended. Yeah, but I wasn't too great with the graphic design and stuff because what we worked that on I forgot I think we did slides or something like that, and I can't. I forgot, but yeah, it wasn't very easy though, neither. And then we would do like web design too. Also, we did
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I haven't really done too much of that. So I know that
yeah,
can be, you know, pretty complicated.
yeah. It was. It was. I was kind of struggling in that class. I would do my own thing. It was crazy, but like for me to like focus, I would kind of to me have fun with it. I would do like women's bodybuilders at the time. I would kind of, and they was laughing at me just even doing it. Yeah, but one time I was like taking like pictures of women bodybuilders and kind of like hooking them up or something like that. Something I did, I forgot, but I was doing it and they was laughing at me.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, it's funny that you mentioned that too, because that's something that, you know, I always kind of stress to my students is that like when you can, like when the opportunity presents itself, and if I'm giving them like a choice of like, you know, different like some of the projects or maybe in like the classes that are a little more advanced, I give like a little bit more freedom in terms of like what they can do with their projects, or I might just
yeah,
give them like a topic and then like they can kind of, you know, interpret it how they would like to. And I always go back to like, do the things that you like. If you like to draw something, or if there's something you're interested in, try and find a way to get that into the project because you're going to be more interested working on it. And it's funny too, because like even just with bodybuilding in general too, like everything that I've learned from that and how that's
yeah,
really helped me personally, like I really try and take the things that I've learned from that and just being involved with bodybuilding and apply that to my teaching and apply that to when I'm talking to my students and like when I'm trying to like, you know, encourage them or give them any kind of like advice or feedback. And you know, I think it's funny because I always kind of thought the two were very separate, like art and bodybuilding. I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
usually people like art and usually people that like
It could be the
bodybuilding
same.
are
Yeah, it
different.
could be. Yeah, it could be the same because
But
you kind of like it's like a sculpting. You doing like a self sculpting of yourself. To be better. Physically. You
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, yeah, the two and just it's you know, about and I mean it's with anything too. I mean it's with whatever kind of things that you're interested in. It's, you know, just about, you know, trying to improve and just get better and better every time that you do it. And like, you know, that's something that again was really that my coach really stresses a lot too, is that it's just about bettering yourself. It's about not being better than somebody else. It's about being better than you were the day before, the week before, you know. And that's something that just even like as an educator I am always trying to stress to students. I'm just like, you know, I'm not expecting you to be like the best artist in the world. I'm not expecting you to, you know, what like if you've never drawn before, I'm clearly not expecting you to do like, you know, this like highly realistic painting or portrait, whatever. But I'm like, you know, I can tell you that the day that you come into this class, like you're going to be better than, you know, when you leave, you know, when the course is over. I'm like, you're going to be better than the first day that you started. And the way that
Yeah.
you get better is by practicing. It's by trying. It's by, not being afraid to fail too, because that's the other thing that I always try to stress to students is that failure is actually your best teacher. You learn so much from failure. And I think that that's another thing that, even when you lose, or if you, not that you lose, but like if you don't place as well in like a competition or something, or you don't, you're going for a PR and you fail that, it's like, it's not something that you should spend a lot of time being upset about. I mean, it's okay to be upset about it. Obviously feel upset and like, feel those feelings, but then also the next day, like get up and just get right back to it. Because if you just stay there and wallow and just say like, I'm never going to get this, I'm never going to do this, you're just limiting yourself. But when you can tell yourself like, yes, I messed up this time, or I failed this time, but next time, like I'm going to get it, or next time I'm going to get a little bit closer to that goal that I'm trying to get to. And just when you can kind of apply that mentality, not just to bodybuilding, not just to your career, not just like, but just apply it to like everything in life. I think that kind of mindset is what really, I think, is something that is super, super, super important for anybody, but also just for physique athletes too. It's just about trying to push yourself to be better.
Yeah, it's not very easy being consistent. It's a lot. Like you have to kind of like talk to yourself that you got to do it and stuff. Like especially with me and with drawing, I don't always draw all the time, but I think sometimes that consistency wasn't always there because I've had like a lot of interest. So, but like once in a while I'll just draw and stuff. But, there's things I do try to be consistent on, so I try to be just disciplined. Yeah, it's not very easy being disciplined, whatever you do. So.
Yeah, no, it's not. But that's where, you see the results, is through that discipline and through that consistency. And when you see the results that you get from it, I think that's what can be really motivating to keep people, disciplined and consistent.
Right. Like with your family and friends, do they ever see your show?
Yeah, I'm really, really lucky. My first show, like my parents were there, my sister, my in-laws, some friends too. My friend that also, was the one that convinced me to start competing. And, when you're on stage and just hearing like people cheer for you and it's so, it's just like, it's this really comforting feeling knowing that you have a support system, because it's those people that support you and those people that show up, like those are the people that, were there, like they know like kind of like what you're going through, or like they kind of watch your journey, and then to see it kind of all come together on stage and cheering for you, and just I'm very fortunate that I had that.
That's beautiful. That's cool.
Yeah, it's funny because when I went to Yorton, so that show's in North Carolina, and I'm from Philadelphia, or it's in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm from Philadelphia, but so that was like an 8-hour drive and a little bit further away, whereas the other show I did was in Jersey, so that was like 40 minutes, so much easier commute. So when the shows get further away, it is a little more challenging. Last year I had my husband and my best friend with me, so that was really nice. And just having them by my side there and like having them there to support me, I felt really, really grateful for that. And so this year, actually, it's nice because I think a lot of my family is planning to come to North Carolina this year. So I'm really excited that they'll be able to see that.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, how far is it from New York City to North Carolina? I don't know, because I don't know. I'm thinking about going to with the Big Apple again, but there was another show in Washington D.C., another OCB.
The president. I think it might be the presidential.
It could be. I gotta check again. I'm not
is
sure,
it in,
but
like August, I want to say, or July.
Yeah, somewhere somewhere August, somewhere down that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure it might be that one.
Thinking about checking that out, but then but I don't know if it would make sense because the Big Apple, I think, is around that same that same bracket, maybe
Around
like
that time.
around that time.
Yeah.
So let me read these chats because I see people cop on in. So, or how she felt when John Cena turned healed.
Oh my God. So this is really funny. My actually, so my cousin, he's 2 years younger than me, and he was like, he loved John Cena. That was like his role model growing up. And when I first started watching, like I liked him, but I wasn't like, he wasn't like my favorite person. But but like watching it now, that was like, I mean, me and my husband and I were pretty much like jaw dropped just watching. We were like, the whole time we are like, oh my God, like what? So it was, we kept saying too, we're like, oh my God, every kid who was like, a huge fan of John Cena is probably like screaming right now. But I mean, I think it's great. I'm all about it. I'm here for, a different storyline. And I think especially since it is his last year that he's going to be in wrestling before he retires, I think that, something like that definitely is captivating, I think, to the audience. And so I'm excited to see how it kind of plays out through the rest of the year.
Yeah, I wasn't
that way, though. I think he's going to eventually kind of turn to a good guy again.
I wasn't following him like that. I think I stopped watching wrestling when China was there or Mankind. I don't know, you familiar with him?
Yeah, Mankind, yes.
I actually seen him on my internship during my internship.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, I think he stopped wrestling at the time. Yeah, he seemed nice.
Yeah, he always seemed like, I mean, I don't know because I've never met him, but like he seemed like a kind of person that would also be like really friendly and really genuine. Based off like his character in wrestling. So
this was like 20 years ago. About 20 years I've seen him. Yeah. And then let me see. If Amanda does a podcast, I want in. You ever thought about doing a podcast?
I would love to do a podcast, honestly. But just with right now, I mean, it's something that, again, like I would love, like something that would be on my radar. For me, like I would like to also just be a little more educated first and just continue to be involved in the sport and in the lifestyle for a little bit longer before I would go and jump into doing something like that. But don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to do that. It's something that, it's something I've definitely thought about. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you probably could get like another woman partner or something. Because I notice there's with female bodybuilders, they do that. They tend to do that. They'll talk in tools and stuff, and they'll interview a person.
I think it's a great platform for that, honestly. And like I said, I mean, my coach, he has had his own podcast for probably like a good long time. I think I want to say maybe like 5 or 6 years, maybe even more than that. That's really inspiring too, because they're not like really long. They're maybe like 10 to 20 minutes. And the information on there is super, super helpful and valuable. And like I said, I listened to it for that whole first prep that I went through. And that like helped me so much through my prep, or like times where I was like worried about something, or like I was like, oh, like, getting worried if, I didn't get a workout in, or worried if I didn't hit all my macros or stuff like that. And, a lot of the topics that he covers, like I said, just have really helped me through that prep and just helped me understand more and learn more about it. So like, I think having that information is something that is super valuable to first-time competitors, or if you are, have been competing, just hearing some of that, I think, is really helpful information. Like, so that, is something that is inspiring to me and something that I think I definitely would like to do at some point.
What's his name again? Is he still He's still doing it, or he
Yeah,
stopped?
he usually gets them out like once a week or so. It's called
Okay.
Team Franco Podcast, and it's on like Spotify. It's on I think it's on like pretty much any like listening, like anything where you can listen to music, pretty
Okay.
much. But I listen to it on Spotify. And yeah, he just started it to just basically put information out for people who are like competing, or even if you're like not a competitor, but you enjoy the lifestyle, or you are like curious about it or anything like that, or you just like live a healthy lifestyle with like balanced nutrition and lifting. Like I said, it can be, even if you're not a competitor, I think it can just be really helpful to listen to and learn different things about. So,
What you learned from the dieting?
well, like I said, before I started contest prep, I think I had a really, I didn't understand. I just thought that like, oh, if I wanted to be more lean, like I can't eat carbs or something like that. And that was probably the stupidest thing I ever told
Oh,
myself, because I spent so much time like avoiding things because I thought that they were going to be like detrimental to my success or anything like that. And like I said, when I did my first contest prep, and I was like, wait, like I can eat this or I can eat that. Because the other thing that my coach really stresses is like, just not being like, don't restrict yourself. Like if there's things that like you enjoy eating, like eat the things you like to eat, just
oh,
make sure they fit with your macros. And like, he's very just like, and like not having that pressure to be like, oh, I can only eat like chicken, broccoli, and rice like every single day. Like, because again, that's what I thought like I would have to
well, a
do.
lot of bodybuilders they do eat that though, like,
Yeah,
every day.
and that's great. And if you can
Yeah,
do that every day for like 3
yeah.
months, more power to you. But I certainly couldn't. I would be getting really angry by the third day. So, I'm like, I eat healthy, but like if I whatever, if I'm like during my contest prep, if I wanted something like sweet or something, or if like whatever, I wanted a cookie or something, like as long as it's
Yeah,
in my macros, I include it in there. I can have that. Or if I wanted to, I mean, like I don't do it like too much during like my like prep and stuff, but like once in a while, if like I want to have something and like I can get it to fit into my macros, then like I don't feel like you know like I have to eat like just the same like how I said, like the same thing all the time. Like I can switch my meals up too. Some people like meal plans and they like the structure of it, and I totally respect that and I understand that. Like I'll
yeah,
make pretty much, I have like the same breakfast and lunch like every single day pretty much, but then I switch up my dinners. So like one night I might want to have whatever, like rice and like salmon and whatever, like peppers. Or like another night I might want to have like a turkey burger and like whatever, like pasta or something like that. So it's like I can switch things up and I don't have to like worry like, oh, like it's going to throw me off course or anything, because again, like as long as it's fitting with my plan, then that's the thing that I really like about it. And that's what really helped repair my relationship, because it made me not fear like eating certain things. It made me feel more like relaxed and more
yeah.
comfortable. So once I kind of started to realize that and I saw the results from it, I was like, oh my God, I was like trying to do all these crazy things that like I didn't have to do. Like things that, if anything, probably held me back instead of getting me the results that I wanted.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. What was I about to say? Yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of know about, like what the foods that you eat. Yeah, that's what I was kind of, referring to with the diet and stuff. Because I know like certain foods you might not want to eat, and that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, like during contest prep, like I I don't like, once in a while, like I remember it's funny because during my second prep, when I was prepping for Yorton, I remember there was like one point where I had like what's called like a refeed day, and that's where basically like your like macronutrients, like your carbs, get like bumped up a little bit more than what they like normally are. And I was on vacation at that point, and I remember like asking my coach, I'm like, listen, like if I have a slice of pizza, is that cool? He's like, you could definitely have a slice of pizza. I'm like, yes, you're fine, you can do that. And like that, so it's funny, like again, like I didn't think I could do that stuff during prep, but you can. And like I said, as long as it's fits in with your plan. So honestly, like when I'm going from like a prep to like my off season,
Yeah.
I'm still pretty much eating like all the same things. The only difference is maybe like on prep, I'm gonna have like a Ninja Creamy protein ice cream as opposed to like, something like regular ice cream from the store. And again, like not that I couldn't have that, but pretty much everything it kind of stays the same. It's just like I just might eat a little bit less of certain things. So like that was the other thing, like going through the contest prep, like I could still eat all the food that I really liked and the foods that I enjoyed. I didn't have to like make any sacrifices. Like I could eat bread, I could eat pasta, I could eat peanut butter, like stuff like that you would think like, what? You can eat that on prep? And it's like, yeah, you can. And it's still the same stuff that I'm eating now. And that's what makes it really sustainable too, is when you find the foods that you like, or the foods you like, and you're eating it for fuel and to, help your body and help you grow or, perform in the gym, stuff like that. So I think like some people can like, do like a certain thing during prep and then they might go back to like a normal kind of diet like after. But I think that would be really challenging for me personally. I think like because I've kept pretty much everything the same that I've been eating like through my prep and off season, that's what makes it so sustainable and that's what makes it enjoyable, and it makes me like feel like I'm not even like prepping necessarily because I'm not really changing up the foods that I'm eating. I just might eat a little bit less of it pretty much. Or like there's some things like I might not have as much like, like something that might be like a really like greasy kind of like cheeseburger. Like I might not eat that during prep, but I'll have like a turkey burger or something like that. And that's just fine with me. So
he says food is a tool and a weapon for bodybuilders. The healthy stuff is boring, yet the other stuff can hurt your progress. And we got Lawrence Perkins. Good evening, Amanda, Clyde, and everyone in the chat. Self-motivation when talking to yourself, especially if you from the religious world, you talking to Christ and he will hear you regardless. Okay. And there's another question. He says, George says, has Amanda watched MMA mixed martial arts?
I haven't like really. I've seen it like here and there, but I haven't really like watched it. But it's something that again, like I like that kind of like style, or I like that kind of sport as well. So it's something that I would be interested in watching or like learning a little bit more about. But I haven't like watched like too much of it.
You don't watch the clips like on Instagram?
Well, I'm sure like I see them occasionally. Not as much as like some of the other, like obviously I see a lot of stuff with like bodybuilding and like more like health and like fitness kind of stuff. Not that that's not health or fitness, but I don't really see like that as much, but I do appreciate it when I do see it.
Yeah, the bare knuckle one. I don't know. I'm not too very fond of women with doing bare knuckle stuff. That's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's funny too because it's actually kind of similar to that. The one thing that I do want to start getting more into, and actually another competitor that I'm friendly with, her and I were talking about it, and we really want to kind of get into boxing too. So after her contest prep, we were like, all right, we're going to go to like boxing gym. We're going to learn a little bit more about it because that's something that I've always kind of been interested in as well. And I think that it's another option for just like a different kind of way of training and working out. It's great for cardiovascular health and, getting a little bit of anger out.
Yeah. No, I was about to say like me doing the boxing. I think as far as I went was like doing the speed bag and the punching bag. That's it.
Yeah. That's what more like hitting a bag. That's what I just want to learn just like how to hit it properly and just like technique and everything like that. So that's the next thing that I want to start learning, which I think it would probably like right around the summer, like end of May, early June. So that's my next endeavor.
Do you have like in bodybuilding? I know you talked about wrestling, but in bodybuilding, do you have like somebody you inspired by? Like it don't matter if it's natural or not natural.
Yeah, there's actually her name's Natalie Hayes. She's a physique competitor,
Okay.
and she competes in a lot of different organizations. Actually, I can't remember if it was. I know she competed in the Yorton Cup last year and this year, and I was really upset because I don't know why. Like I didn't realize that she was competing in it this year. And otherwise, I would have loved to have gotten to talk to her or just let her know I was really inspired by her. She has an incredible physique. She's self-coached, and I mean the amount of progress that she has. And that girl, I listened to an interview with her before, and the amount of training that she does, and just everything that she kind of puts into it. Um, and just like all the different she's like I said competed in like a lot of different shows, and her physique is just unreal. Like everything, like head to toe. I don't think there's an ounce on her that doesn't have muscle. So she's I even like said to my coach, I'm like she's goals. That's my inspiration right there. So I'm really inspired by her.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out Natalie Hayes. You say okay? All right. Yeah, that's cool. And let me see. I think Chris Hernandez. He says anime, manga forever. You have any like manga manga series that you like?
Well, growing up, I mean, I loved. I really liked like my favorite show growing up, or I could say like when I was like preteens and like into my teens. I loved Naruto, so
Um,
that was like my
Watched a little bit of that.
yeah. He was his character just was another one that always inspired me because he's like an underdog and like had a lot of odds put against him,
Yeah.
and really had to like fight his way to like prove himself pretty much. So he was someone that I was always really drawn to and really inspired by, and watching him like overcome a lot of different challenges. So that was always that one was like pretty much my favorite one out of all the ones
Yeah.
that I've watched. So I used to be a little bit more into it when I was like a teenager, and a little bit into college. But I haven't really followed anything super like I haven't followed anything really recent lately.
Yeah, I mean, I never really watched. I watched some episodes of Naruto, but I don't know. I just didn't like got into it like that. I think the manga, like the mangas before Naruto. I remember Ninja Scroll. Like I don't know you ever heard of that,
Yeah,
but
I've heard.
it's yeah, yeah. That was I remember that one. That was my stuff right there. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even like if you look though, because I mean, a lot of, and it's funny too, because when I was interested in anime, like more kind of, like I said, when I was younger, it was something that like a lot of kids would get like bullied for. So
Yeah,
I didn't really tell people that I liked it and I kind of like kept it to myself. But now I'm seeing it's like a lot more popular now. And like a lot of people, it's like something that's like popular and a lot of people like, and I'm like, I'm like, like it just makes me so angry because I'm like,
how you
what?
get bullied by watching manga? I don't get that one. That's
I,
crazy.
yeah, but I mean, it's. I think it's just because it wasn't as popular, maybe like 10 or 15 years ago, but now it's
Yeah.
really kind of blown up, and it's funny because a lot of
How
even
old
like,
are you, if you don't mind? I'm sorry. How old are
no, no,
you?
you're fine. I'm 30,
Oh, okay. Well, you kind of young. Yeah, you're young.
kind of.
Well, yeah, well, you're
Yeah,
young. You're younger than me. I mean, you're not old, but you're not young
that's
in a
really
way. But
good.
you know,
I mess around too with like what like my students will ask me like how old I am too, and they'll be like, oh, that's not that old, and I'm like, yeah, not that old, it's fine. But no, but I like a lot of the characters are all like depending on the show, I think a lot of them can be like really jacked, and like a lot of
yeah.
kids you hear them say like, oh, I want to be built like this person or built like that person. So I think there's a lot of really inspiring physiques in animes, that's for sure.
Yeah,
So
do you pay attention to like female muscle art?
um, I've you said female muscle art.
Yeah, like there's sometimes the women they grow like there's this growth thing. Maybe I could show you or something like that. Hold on,
Yeah, I was like,
let me
I don't know
check.
if I've heard of that, but
Let me check it out. We gonna go to this something. I'll show you some things if I can. Hold on. All right, female female growth. Female muscle muscle muscle. All right. Oh shit. All right. Okay. Let me see. Growth, female muscle growth. Well, there's female 3D muscle art type of thing. Let me see. Yeah, there's like, I hope this ain't new, because well, some of it, it's like where the girls are muscular and stuff like that. Let
oh
me show
yeah,
you
yeah. I mean, I
something
love like
more.
so you're like I mean when I draw like if I'm like drawing like figures or like when I was younger again like I used to like to draw a lot of different like characters and
Yeah,
things like that. I always that's actually one of
yeah,
my favorite things to draw are people and figures. So
yeah.
when
This type of thing. I ain't gonna go too deep because
I'm not drawing stuff like that, but
yeah,
like
yeah,
just me wise or like figures and things like that. I any chance I can draw someone who's like more muscular, I like it, but it's like I like drawing any kind of body type too. But I do really like drawing like muscle just because I think like I don't know, I think when you can see like more muscle and everything, I don't know. I personally like drawing that, but I also like obviously drawing like any kind of person too, like any kind of body type. Because like that's
yeah,
when I was in art school, we were drawing from models from life, and they would any kind of model, any kind of age, any kind of like person, like young, old, male, female, like whatever. Like you would get any kind of body type, everything in between. So that's I just appreciate like I appreciate drawing any kind of body or any kind of physique.
yeah. I never did that. I did still life. I took a course in that. Like one time, like we would do like apples and objects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like a vase and I remember like it was one point where we went to the museum and we was like drawing sculptures too. So
Mm-hmm. I think
yeah,
that's a great way to learn how to draw, just even like anatomy, or just
yeah,
learning how to draw from life too. Sculptures are, and especially because they don't move, that's why they're even
yeah,
better. Whereas
yeah.
figures, you kind of
I
draw
ain't
people.
never thought about that. I ain't
Yeah,
never thought about that.
yeah.
'Cause
So whereas like if and like people, they might move a little bit here or there, but usually the people that you would draw from life, they're pretty good at pretty much staying still. But with sculptures, they don't really have a choice. They can't, move around, or if they start moving around, then I guess you might be a little concerned.
yeah. Yeah, I remember I went to a comic convention and this guy, he was telling me, he was asking me, have I ever took like nude classes or anything, modeling or something like, and I was like, I'm not sure. Like you would know because he said, I mean, he didn't say naked, but like but you would know because
Yeah, no, yeah,
that
yeah,
dude and stuff like that. But because I was focusing on the still life,
yeah.
mostly and stuff. And so when he told me that, well, what I'm trying to, I think, pinpoint, he was saying like, to like draw a physique, you would have to draw from life itself. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's always the best way to learn how to draw is like when you're drawing from life, and then when you learn to draw from life and you learn the skills and you learn the techniques, then you can apply that to more like when you work in a specific style, like whether you're an illustrator, a designer,
yeah,
or any kind of fine artist, you kind of develop a specific style. And the way that that kind of gets developed is by learning first how to draw from life and how to look at different things and like I said, learn the skills for it. Then you apply that to the things that you like to do, and then that's how you kind of develop a style. So,
yeah, yeah. Hey, Amanda, keep on striving all the way on your journey, and you are the queen that walks the face on this earth as well. Yeah, he always got something to say.
That's very
I'm
nice.
not mad at him, but agree on the food plan during bodybuilding. Electrolytes and supplements are always on the menu. Natural food is foremost in the John. LOL. Yeah.
John is a Philly slang.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I think that's about it. Do you got anything to kind of leave a message to people that want to work out or struggling to kind of hit the gym or stay healthy? Anything like that?
What I can say is that when you go to a gym, everyone is more focused on themselves. Everyone is there focusing on themselves to make themselves better, to get better, to be stronger, to hit the goals that they want to hit. And anytime that like somebody is in there, or especially when you're new, I think that you can get this anxiety like, oh my God, people are judging me. Oh my God, people, they're gonna think that, oh, I'm a girl in like the free weight section or whatever. Like, oh, I'm gonna be judged by these guys. I know that that's personally something that I worried about when I first started lifting. I was thinking, oh, like all these guys are going to judge me, or they're, oh, it's a girl like lifting weights. She doesn't know what she's doing or something. And again, that's just ignorance on my part. That's just that was my fear. That was the fear in my head. And it wasn't true, because everyone that I feared would judge me are all people who I'm very friendly with, people who I have close connections with, and people who constantly encourage and support me. And I think that oftentimes the gym can have a bad reputation where, oh, it's people who are like really vain and people who like, are like mean, or like they judge people who don't go. And it's like, it couldn't be any further from the truth. Of course, you do have like some jerks here and there, but I'd say 98% of, the fitness and the gym community, we're all here to like support and just like cheer on the people next to us. We're here to, encourage others. It's like, oh, this is your first time in the gym. Like, if I like, when I know that someone's like new to the gym, like I get like really excited, and like I really try to like, be encouraging and like supportive and stuff. And I think that, again, like it is a total normal like fear to have, because like I said, I felt that myself too when I first started. But if you can like put that aside, like just put your headphones in, just like tune out everything else around you, like if that's what you want to do, and and just do the thing, like lift your weights, do what you got to do. And if you're unsure about something, or if you think your form is off or anything like that, there are always trainers at the gyms. You can always ask a trainer. If you feel comfortable asking somebody next to you, I guarantee you that they would be more than happy to like talk to you or help you. We are a very supportive community, like I said, and I think that, that first step is always the scariest, but it's one of those things where you never know where it could lead you. And if you don't take that step, you don't ever want to wonder, like, what if I, did do this, or what if, instead of like holding yourself back, like don't be afraid to challenge yourself and step outside of your comfort zone, because you never know where it could lead you. It could end up turning your life around in ways you never could imagine. So my advice is also like, especially if like to people who are newer to lifting, and like more specifically with girls, like don't be afraid to lift heavy. Like form is always the most important thing. Always make sure your form is good and is on point, and that you've practiced, with form for a long time before you go really heavy. But like also don't be afraid to lift heavy, because you're not going to look like a man, right? You're going to build muscle, you're going to boost your metabolism, and and like when you combine, again, like strength training with some conditioning, like you're going to get the results that you want. You're not going to look like a man. Like, we don't have the same,
Right.
hormones that guys do. So
That's the thing about, they do compare it to being a man and stuff like that. I mean, there are some extremes, but I don't. Have you ever gotten like comments on that?
yeah, I mean, I definitely, when I was a kid, like I've had like guys, like,
Yeah.
a lot of it was guys too, like criticizing me, saying like, oh, like, like that my back is like really wide, like I look like a defensive lineman, or I should be on like the football team or something. And like those are comments that back then they really hurt me, or like they,
Oh,
like, oh, your arms are so big, or like, oh, your legs are so big, or like, oh, like, like things that when I was a kid and like before I got into that stuff, like really hurt me, or like, I was around, like a lot of my friends were like more petite too. And then like, I would hang out with them and like sometimes I'd get a lot of like unsolicited comments from like their guy friends. And it really like hurt my self-esteem because I was like, I can't fix my genetics. Like I can't fix like, my back is like, I can't help that. And so here they are making fun of me for it. And here I am winning shows because I have a big back. So that's,
this was in high school or what?
Like middle school, like more like, middle school, a little bit of high school. But, it's like I said, those things used to really bother me. And now I'm just like, I'm so thankful for the genetics that I have. I'm really thankful that, I have this body that allows me to do the things that I love to do instead of, so I'm just really fortunate for that. So, the things that people criticize you about or the things that people make you feel bad about, they can also be the things that make you feel the most confident and the most empowered. And I always say to people that like make comments like that says more about them than it's ever going to say about you. So if anyone's, criticizing you or making you feel bad about something, then I think that person needs to take a harder look at themselves.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I'm sorry you went through that, but
no, I don't. I mean, every kid, we all kids go through that.
Yeah, of course. I was just trying to console you.
No, I appreciate that. I definitely got over that, but at the time it stinks, but it's one of those things that, like I said, it's something that someone made me feel really bad about is actually something that is desired.
There's women that go through that now. I mean, like they started lifting weights and feel good, and then they get comments on the internet. You look like a dude and stuff, and some people it do bother them. And,
I'm like, thanks. It means I have big muscles. I'm here for it.
So, I mean, do you think that female bodybuilders have like a sex appeal to the sport? Could that help give the sport attention?
I mean, for me personally, like I don't see it like that. Like the way I look at it as like I see the body as like art. Like I see like basically like how you were talking about like the sculptures and stuff too. Like I see the competitors and like the female competitors and like male competitors like as works of art in a way, like, and it's something like I think maybe for somebody that like doesn't like know like a ton about the sport, or if they're not like super involved with it, then maybe there could be like an element to that. But I think that like the people that do compete and like people that have been around the industry for a long time don't really think of it like that kind of way. I'm sure there are people that do, but for me personally, like I just see it as like works of like a work of art, basically, like and celebrating the body as a work of art, and hard work and dedication.
Focus on your path and keep moving forward.
That's the plan. That's the plan, George. That's what I'm trying to do every day.
I was on End Sketching Hands, and I was also Comic Hero Figures. But yeah, well, I think that's a fact, but I thank you for giving me your time, No,
thank you. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to just share about it and to just talk about it, because I could go on for hours, and I might not be the best at keeping things short and concise, but it's something I'm truly passionate about. And I just really appreciate having the opportunity to be able to speak about it. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
No, thank you. All right. The end, there's the outro, and see you working out and stuff like that. So you can enjoy, and everybody that's watching, they can enjoy it. So
sounds great. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. And any other time, if you need another person on, or if you ever need me again, I'm all on board. So don't ever hesitate to reach out.
All right. Thanks.
Smile. Yeah. We're gonna do this one the very right way. Trav. Woke up in the morning with the sunshine. Nice. Animated birds on my power line. There they go. Mapping out my life, cause it's by design. Checking on my friends, hope they doing fine. Nice. And all my fake friends put me on the shelf. I worry way less when I'm by myself. But you can always call me if you need my help. I got the type of love that you never felt. Okay, all day, let me demonstrate. Throw bad vibes at my feet, I'ma levitate. My trajectory, yeah, that would never change. I'ma be me, even if I look strange. I be focused on life with no pain. Make a day from the night, cause I brought paint. I've been through hell, but for heaven's sake, I'm in my lemon car, sipping lemonade.